part of it is also then that it's globalized. It's not just well where you're from, Brooklyn or
exactly.
El Paso, but it's global. So and this is I think difficult for you to answer yourself. But why do you think that is? Why do you think people all over can connect to what you make?
I hope it's the simplicity of it, and I hope it's like hopefully there's some sort of honesty to it. But I mostly think it's the, like I said, it's easy music to kind of figure out, like, it's easy to listen to, and it's like melodic and all that. And I think those elements, you know, transcend every border. Like it's almost like instrumental music, you know, like where just kind of everyone can kind of see what it's doing. And I think all these other feelings that come in too seem to appeal to all the other cultures. The cool thing too is, I mean, I loved a lot of music from all these cultures as well. Like I was, you know, a huge fan of French music and Japanese music even. So it's cool to have that, you know. It's cool to say like, oh, well, like you actually liked, you know, music from this culture, and now, you know, this culture likes your music. It's interesting to me. So, but I mostly think it's that simplicity. I think there's something about that just doesn't know boundaries.
But that's interesting because you mentioned French music, and I've read you're an admirer of Francoise Hardy.
Yeah, for sure.
So, is it inevitable that that kind of music that you listen to kind of seeps through and then it comes out in a way in your music as well? Because she had a certain melancholy to her music.
Yeah, totally. Because there's some records, like, you know, I'm sure you know, you just hear them and they totally like blow you away, and you're forever changed once you hear them. And it was, I mean, I heard her early singles, and those blew me away, just those songs, like the single she did on like Vogue, I think about like a compilation, and they had like Tous les garçons, like that kind of song, or like Voila. But then I had La Question on that record, like, I remember just vividly the moment like where I was struck by how beautiful it was and stuff like that. So for me, having that kind of reaction to a record, like, as an artist, I feel like that's my ideal of like what I'm trying to produce myself. So that's, I think, why I'm like trying to sound like that, because I'm like, this is the most beautiful record I could think of, by the way, you know?
Sure.
So that's probably why I'm, you know, trying to emulate her sound and things like that. It just kind of, it hits so deep that it just kind of happens naturally. It's strange.
That is, have you heard from people who listen to your music, who come up to you maybe after a show, or a reaction that they had a similar experience with your music?
Yeah, that's all the time, which is great. Yeah, people seem to say like it kind of changes their life and things like that, and which is probably, you know, what I just said. It's great. I keep talking about this thing of like, it's like a circular thing in music and influence, where you have that experience with an artist, and then your music has that, you know, with somebody else, and it's just great motion, you know, that kind of keeps things going. So I love that. It's the highest compliment. It's just nice to be involved in that and to mean that to someone the way that other things meant that to me. It's fantastic.
Sure. And well, going on to the album then, because we mentioned the universal aspect of music, and I believe a lot of the album is about one of the most universal things, love or a relationship. So
definitely.
And then I think you've said this before, that it kind of, you write about what you know. So was it inevitable that this album or this debut album would turn out the way it did?
Yeah, and that was really deliberate too, to do that.
Okay.
Yeah, because it was one thing I felt like there'd be amazing records, but there was never one, or there's not many I can think where it's just straight, like every song's just about love, like it just goes start to finish. There's like maybe like Blood on the Tracks kind of does that. But I just felt like I was missing like this knockout record that was just all about love the whole time. So that was like, I just felt like I wanted to contribute that to what I saw as a gap, you know, for what I wanted, like out of a record all about love. So yeah, it was kind of like, let's just do this, like there's nothing else like that. And what you just said too, like it's write what you know, and so I'm just writing about the experiences that make me the most passionate and things like that, and they all happen to be about love.
What was the first song that kind of came together out of this group?
Let's see. It's so strange now to talk about the record because it represents 5 years of writing.
Right.
Because I had Cigarettes around, but we had attempted some of these songs on the LP with different lineups of the bands, and they just never came out very good, so they were scrapped. But I think the earliest song that's on this record is a song called Flash, which I wrote fairly quickly after doing the first EP.
Okay.
So back in like, I think it was the end of 2012 or something, which seems like forever ago to me. Yeah. So that's one of the oldest ones. And that came out of like this big, I was really back into like early 90s R&B and like late, like Janet Jackson and like Bobby Brown and stuff like that. Kind of taking influence from that to do like a more surreal version of it.
Because we mentioned the cinematic qualities of it, and so what was your, if we take Flash, what was your kind of visual image of that song?
Yeah, and I think that's one where it's like that song is a lot more surreal, like I just said, and I like that the images are kind of strange. So, but the main cinematic image that I actually kind of borrowed in it is there's a bridge in the song, and it's like kind of talking about being on the stage and like forgetting lines. And that was taken from a scene that I saw in this film, The Discreet Charm of the Bourgeoisie, the Buñuel film, where it's this very strange film where people are trying to have dinner in every scene and they can never have dinner, like something interrupts it. It's very bizarre. And in this particular scene, they're all having dinner at a big dinner table, like a big group of people, and all of a sudden this curtain lifts up and they're revealed to be on stage out of nowhere, like, and no one has any like no one knows why. And they're like, one of the guys like, oh, I don't remember my lines. Like, it's really surreal. It's strange. But that came from that, at least. I took one image from that.
For you, because I also read that you were happy to be able to make something as a cohesive whole, as a thing. So is there a narrative in a sense, because you mentioned it's 5 years of your life.
Yeah.
Is there a narrative through the album?
I'd say there's recurring characters. And also what I wanted to do too, what I love is when a record has recurring imagery. Like you think about like a record like Nebraska by Springsteen, and he kind of reuses the same phrases a lot and stuff like that. And I just felt like that made a record feel like more of a one piece than a collection of songs.
Right.
So that was really deliberate. I think you'll see recurring imagery in it. Like it's like, you know, there's certain images that I went back to and things like that. But I wouldn't say like it's like you can really trace like a narrative of time. It's just kind of like I said, recurring characters, recurring imagery. Yeah.
But that imagery, and then obviously you're quite deliberate in the artwork as well, and so the aesthetic of what you do, is that important? Is that kind of part of the story you're telling?
Yeah, for sure. I just think it's so crucial, being moved by groups like the Smiths and Belle and Sebastian, where their covers were so this like conceptual, like as far as like this cohesive kind of statement they were making with their covers. Like Belle and Sebastian had friends, they just took pictures of their friends and kind of these duotone kind of color things. And the Smiths, it was just Morrissey using, you know, stock photos that he had and things like that. But I feel like it made those bands feel really special to have this really cohesive look to them. And it's one thing that I just wanted for Cigarettes. It felt like it made those bands like stand up above the rest to me, as far as what they did, what they represent. And so I thought, let's just do that with Cigarettes in a different way. And that ended up being getting, you know, surrealistic photos from the 30s with Man Ray and stuff. And that formed the basis for what we're doing now. But I'll just see a photo and it'll instinctually like it, and it feels like it's right to be in this. So it's kind of strange, but I feel like making things that cohesive is a very strong thing to do in art and music.
And we mentioned social media, and part of kind of the technological advancement of the last couple of years is streaming service and those kind of things. So is that cohesiveness and then that kind of album art, is that somewhat of a lost art these days?
Yeah, I definitely think it is. And also too, you see bands like using, I think it's like such a shame. Like on Spotify, for instance, you'll see like, oh, here's like a new band single, and it'll just be like the album cover or something. It's like so like the single artwork is lost, which is a drag because I love like it's cool like when the single has its own artwork. Like going back to the Smiths, you'd have the album covers, but all the singles were great covers as well. So I would never want to like be. I think just make everything count, and I don't want to be lazy about any step of the way. I want every single to have its own special artwork, and I want it to feel special. I don't want it to feel like, oh, here's just a single, guys. Like, I need it to feel like an event, you know. And that's a big part of that. And yeah, what you just said, I think it is a shame that a lot of bands are just kind of phoning that in now. Or maybe it's not important to them, but I just think it's massively important for the impact that I want to have as an artist. Yeah.
Finally, then I want to get into the subject matter a little bit more because you mentioned the cathartic element that songwriting has on you as well. So, writing about all these relationships and memories of those kind of things, do you think you've gotten better at relationships?
That's interesting. Probably not. I think I've figured out, you know, how to navigate a lot better, and like I've figured out what not to do and things like that. But it feels so random in love and things like that. All I can really do is just keep trying, and sometimes it goes well, sometimes it doesn't. And the lessons I've learned, I have to keep relearning and things like that. But maybe I got in a little better.
Was there maybe one song that was tough for you to write, or that ended up on the album, or that because it is very personal? And
yeah, it was strange with there was a song K, and that song was written like just in the heat of the moment. I was really feeling that way. And actually this is a little different, but so the song was written and it kind of came together. But when I heard it back, when we finally finished it was actually difficult to listen to.
Okay.
Which is strange. Like it was, maybe I was repressing feelings that I had or something. But when I heard it, it made me feel really weird, like there was lingering feelings or something like that. So that was a very strange experience for me. It was actually powerful for me. I thought, wow, this is crazy. Like your own song kind of gives you this
insight, or
like something weird. And it was that. I think it was just that I hadn't gotten over feelings for that person, or like I was maybe feeling weird about the situation I had just went through with that person. So yeah, it's interesting though.
Do you know if the people, I don't know if you directly write about people, but the people that appear in the songs, do you know if they know the songs and know if it's about them?
Yeah, usually they do.
Okay.
Yeah, because I'll just tell them, because we're usually friends. Okay. But there's a few on this record for like people that I don't talk to anymore. So they'd have to hear the song and they would know immediately it's about them reading the lyrics, because the lyrics contain little clues and things like that. Where, you know, it's like an inside joke.
Right.
So like there'll be situations in the song where only that person will read it and be like, I know what this is, you know?
Right.
So that's what I like about that. You can talk to somebody that way too, and kind of say like, remember this, but you don't even know if they hear it. But.
So no disgruntled exes yet?
Probably there are. Yeah, there are, but so we'll just see. You know, we'll see what happens. See if anyone contacts me and says, "Oh, that was sweet," or "Don't take it down." Yeah, take that song away.
All right.
Yeah.
Greg, thank you so much for your time.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.